Gracias. We celebrate you too. Un aplauso for you for being here. Good evening, buenas noches. Welcome to September 18th, 2019 meeting of the Berkeley School Board. If you want to follow along on the agenda, you can do so on your phone. You can borrow a computer from Ms. Chidas. I don't know if she has that many, though. I'd like to remind everyone that our board meeting is broadcast live on YouTube. This means that our meetings and anything captured on video will be archived and will be online forever. I would like to now call the open session of tonight's meeting. In order, we started our closed session at 7:30, and we started our closed session at 6 o'clock. Ms. Chidas, for the committee members you present, did you do the translation?
Buenas noches y bienvenidos. Si hay miembros del público que desean dirigirse a la mesa directiva durante el periodo de comentario público y necesitan traducción de inglés al de español al inglés, favor de hacérmelo saber ya que se les otorgará tiempo adicional durante sus comentarios. Gracias. Director Julie Sinai.
Here.
Director Judy Appel.
Here.
Director Estella Ham. Here. Brown.
Present, sorry.
Vice President Ty Alper.
Present.
President Beatriz Leiva Cutler.
Presente. Thank you. We'll now approve the agenda. Are there any requested changes? If not, then we'll have a motion.
I'll move the agenda.
Motion by Vice President Alper, second.
Second.
Second by Board Member Brown. And now we turn.
You gotta vote.
I vote yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now I'll go to closed session. We had two items on claim number 3.1. On claim number 10BAD0097, a motion by Director Alper, second by Director Appel. It was all in favor. On item case number DSC 1503595, we heard and discussed. And then on 3.21, Berkeley Federation of Teachers, we heard an update and provided direction. Yay. Okay, so board meeting, closed session report, and we approved the agenda. So now we'll go to our public comment. Do you have the cards?
Yeah, we're just going to go right into it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did the report out.
2 minutes.
Okay, so we have several cards, and we're going to, it'll be 2 minutes for every speaker. Please come to the left over here, my left, and please stand in line so that we can move along real quickly, and it'll be for 30 minutes, our public comment, because I know everybody has school tomorrow. We'll start with Lila Wilkinson.
My name is Lila Wilkinson. I've been a special education teacher at Malcolm for a decade now. I'm the product of Berkeley Public Schools. I went to Malcolm, and as a child, I struggled to learn to read. After graduating from UC Berkeley with honors and getting a master's, I came back to Malcolm to work with kids that I relate to. And the joy that I find in my job is very personal. Last year, BUSD experienced a mass exodus of special education teachers. We started the school year with 9 special ed vacancies, and I've watched dedicated colleagues flee this position and this district, and the crisis level of turnover is demoralizing, and it's detrimental to our students and our school communities. We've been coming to the board for years, suggesting solutions, warning of burnout, that the workload is preventing us from sustaining the level of service that we know our students need and deserve. Berkeley's full inclusion model is unlike any nearby district. Our services and teaching depends on collaboration with gen ed, with families, with DIS, with speech, with OT, with behaviorists, with instructional assistants, and we're required to maintain and write mountains of legal binding paperwork and documentation. Last year, I was part of BFT's special ed working group where we researched surrounding districts, and we collected data and information from our members pre-K to high school. Caseload size and high number of assessments result in less student support. BUSD is now at the bottom of Alameda County for total teacher compensation, ranking 18th out of 20 districts. But thanks to our community, gen ed teachers in Berkeley have significantly lower class size than the state average. Meanwhile, special ed teachers' caseloads are uncompromisingly too high, and they don't reflect our full inclusion model. For the first time, I'm considering leaving my job, and it's extremely painful. We believe that students in need of the most support should be our collective priority, and we demand caseload caps and assessment limits in our contract now because our students deserve better.
Professor Douglas Bindler.
Wow. I'm nervous. I'm honest here. Berkeley Unified School District members, parents, teachers. I'm a taxpayer here in Berkeley, and everybody wants to fund the schools, right? Yeah. Let me tell you, in 1980, taxpayers voted to have a special assessment tax to fund Berkeley schools. Do people remember that? That's one of the highest taxes that we as property taxpayers are paying. The city auditor, the city auditor found that the City of Berkeley Finance Department is cheating Berkeley Unified School District out of funds. My wife and I have sued the finance department in the city of Berkeley. We're still under lawsuit with that action going on. But as a result of this, we found that the city finance department is cheating the taxpayers and the schools out of funds that they should be receiving. So if you're looking for money, go to the city finance department. What I would like to ask is a motion that the school board not have the City of Berkeley Finance Department collect the taxes and have Alameda County, the Alameda County Tax Board collect the taxes and give that to the school board directly instead of going through the finance department. Is that fair? In doing so, I will also tell you that the auditor found that people are not being fairly taxed in the city of Berkeley, which is again cheating the taxpayers and cheating the schools, cheating the teachers out of funds that the taxpayers voted that they should be receiving. So I ask you, can you accept the motion to have the taxes collected by Alameda County Tax Board instead of the City of Berkeley? Oh, I'm out of time.
Thank you. David Mayan? I may have missed.
Does that mean I don't get an answer?
Well, I was just going to say
I'm
that.
sorry.
Next month.
No.
Well,
board
I will.
Excuse me, the board does not respond to our public. We listen to the public.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Stevens, and members of the BUSD administration. My name is David Mayer, and I'm representing B-Home. Berkeley housing opportunities for municipal employees. I'm here this evening to provide a brief update on BHome's recent activities and to continue to stress the broader community's support and the importance of continuing to push forward as quickly as possible with the establishment of educator workforce housing for BUSD educators. Over the past months, BHome has expanded our communications platform. This includes an updated website with easy access resources on workforce housing, what other communities are doing, and a place for registration for our newsletters and bulletins. Members of BHome have also met in person with Tina Rapphorst of the Jefferson Union High School District, a district that is recently moving down the path with building workforce housing on one of their school properties. Ms. Rapphorst shared a lot of information. It was very eager to continue to collaborate with us and exchange for how we might do our program here. We discussed and gained approval from UC Berkeley Cities and Schools program to utilize the data that they produced for Berkeley Unified School District when they were doing an assessment of the need for workforce housing and the impact of housing insecurity on BUSD employees. They have permitted us to use the data in part of our communication strategy, the first of which is a poster, which I'm showing you here, that we're using to educate the community that 69% of educators who rent in Berkeley say the high cost of housing threaten their ability to work for our schools. We'll continue this campaign to bring attention to the community at large about how impacted our Berkeley Unified employees are by the cost of housing. Lastly, we participated in the Solano Stroll, engaging with many members of the Berkeley community. There's tremendous support for workforce housing now. I want to close by just letting you know we're here to support you and hope that you continue to move this item as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Aya De Leon, followed by Vicki Davis. Aya De Leon, followed by Vicki Davis. Can I have another one?
My name is Aya De Leon. I happen to also represent UC AFT Local 1474. I'm a lecturer at UC Berkeley. Go Union, go Berkeley teachers. But I'm here today representing for the PTA. I'm the Vice President of Community Outreach on the PTA at John Muir. And I'm here, yes, John Muir, make some noise. We are here, many of us, to talk about our concerns about the John Muir cafeteria renovation. There was a meeting that took place last year, and no parents were included. They finally had a meeting last month, and many of us in the parent community are very alarmed. The project with the renovation is scheduled to begin in November. Phase 1 includes 2 months of demolition, likely with jackhammers, while school is in session and children are eating lunch. It is a very old building. There is danger of asbestos and other toxic risks. Also, on our campus, there are a number of hearing impaired students, and that kind of noise would be especially disruptive to that vulnerable population. But we're also concerned about overall disruption of learning, noise, and the construction chaos. We understand renovations need to happen, but parents have coalesced around a demand for a delay of these renovations until June of 2020 so that school is not in session and these renovations don't have these effects on our students. One of the folks from the district suggested that perhaps the program had originally been intended to happen in June of 2019, but has been pushed till November. Please push it to June of 2020. Thank you.
Vicki Davis, followed by Alexa Asturias.
Hi, my name is Vicki Davis, and I have students at Malcolm X Elementary and Longfellow Middle School. All of you should have received emails from me. I've sent 2 in regards to these issues, so I'm going to do a very brief summary. I was standing here in 2012 when my then preschooler needed resources and started a special ed program in the preschool and did not have a teacher for the first 6 weeks of school and had a string of subs. I was again here many times, but in 2016 with my daughter in 2nd grade who advocated herself for her special ed teacher when our then school, over 100 students larger than the other schools, did not have enough special ed resources. And I do appreciate that our large school did get an additional 0.5. I'm here again now in 2019, and my daughter is in middle school, where her schedule was recently changed because some of her classes had over 11 IEP students in them, and the mounting of the balancing was reshuffled. Her caseworker had an increase of over 50% in her caseload within the 2nd week of school, and now is over her max of the number of students that she should be serving, which is going to diminish my daughter's serving. I was on a committee that recommended co-teaching. This would be a great opportunity to do that. I fear that my child will graduate high school before the board does anything to resolve all of these issues. We need to not change full inclusion, but fully support and resource it. When I have friends from other districts come and play with me in the parks here, they have kids in special day classes in Fremont, in Richmond, in Alameda, San Francisco, and comment about how amazing and inclusive the children are in the parks. And I always say this is because we are a full inclusion district, and the students learn how to accept all students in the district. So don't change full inclusion, instead fund it. Thank you.
Alexis Asturias, followed by Kathleen Evans.
Hello, my name is Alexa Asturias, and I'm a moderate severe inclusion specialist at Cragmont Elementary School. This is the start of my 2nd year as a teacher. The best parts of the year are seeing students have that aha moment or realize how independent they can actually be. In order to continue having these moments, I need to have time to work directly with my students, and right now that time does not always exist. I started off last year, my 1st year of teaching, with a caseload of 11. 5 of my students had one-to-one all-day support written into their IEPs, and only 4 IAs showed up for the first 5 weeks of school. So for the first 5 weeks of school, I was reliving my paraprofessional days while learning to assess students and write IEPs and all the other stresses of being a first-year teacher. My days began at 7 a.m. and ended around 9 p.m. Teachers at my school were getting antsy, asking me questions like, when will you start instruction? And where is the modified work the student needs? And have you found the time to assess this student? All questions that I couldn't answer. BUSD boasts itself as a full inclusion district, so much so that families are flocking here to enroll their children. My fellow case managers and I work hard to make full inclusion work, but there needs to be more of us to make our full inclusion program function the way it is intended. I need support in these forms: funding for materials for students and higher compensation to help me continue to live in the Bay Area and work for BUSD. Caseload caps so that I am not spending prep time finishing hours of paperwork instead of modifying work for students. Relief from the ever-increasing initial assessments that deserve more time than I have in a day. Training so that I can do my job better. More caseload caps and a limit on assessments would completely change the quality of my work and allow me to thrive here because my students would be getting the support that they deserve. These are some supports that will make a difference. If I don't get this support, my students are negatively impacted, and I'm not sure that I can stay in this district. You have the power to change this.
Kathleen Evans, followed by Yvette Valarca. I don't see Kathleen. All right, Yvette Valarca, followed by Janine Waddell. Let's get it!
My name's Yvette Pilarka. I'm on the executive board of the BFT representing Martin Luther King Middle School. And I'm also representing the Equal Opportunity Now by Any Means Necessary caucus. I also am here speaking on behalf of the growing number of teachers and BFT members in Berkeley, as well as many BCCE members who I talk to, who are ready to strike. We're ready to strike for 11.75% pay increase or more in 2 years. We're ready to strike for more certificated staff members and BCCE members to support special education programs and caseload caps. We're ready to strike for independent studies teachers to be added to our salaries and to become permanent status. But teachers like me are also ready to strike to make sure that BCCE members, our custodians, our bus drivers are also treated fairly and get the same or more of a salary increase than we do. And also ready to strike to hire more Black and Latino and Latina teachers and retain them here in Berkeley, the home of the first voluntary desegregation program. And the nation stands behind us. The strike wave is growing, and it didn't stop in Virginia or West Virginia or Arizona. It didn't stop in LA or Oakland or New Haven. See, Joe? But it's spreading to all the sectors. UAW workers are going on strike and are on strike right now. Kaiser is gonna go on strike. And right now, normally, what I was taught in my labor history is that a contract represents labor peace. But guess what? We're working without a contract now. So if we don't have a contract, you don't get any peace. Get us a fair contract and the contract we and our students deserve. Thank you.
Janine Waddell, followed by Gerard Jamin.
Good evening, Superintendent Stevens and board members. My name is Janine Waddell, and I'm the Vice President of the Berkeley Federation of Teachers. I'm also a third grade teacher at Washington Elementary, a community that I have been a part of for almost 9 years. When I began my career in Berkeley as a student teacher, I quickly fell in love with our full inclusion model. It felt both challenging and rewarding to create a supportive classroom community for all kids. As a student teacher, I watched in awe as all of the pieces to the full inclusion puzzle magically occurred each day. Yet over the years, I've realized that behind that magic, there lies a struggle to make sure that all of those pieces come together each day, even if it means a teacher missing time with their own kids and family. And the struggle to stick with it as the demands become more and more. I still believe in our full inclusion model. I believe it has the potential to provide a sustainable working environment for the teachers who have never stopped serving our Berkeley students. I've had the privilege of working closely with our moderate severe full inclusion specialist, Hillary Trainer, at Washington year after year. Hillary has operated with grace with a caseload of up to 17 kids some years. She and I both agree that the keys to success is vulnerable means that special education teachers nights and weekends. It means on the side of a road to send the mass text out to a student's team at 7 a.m., alerting them of an unforeseen schedule change, coordinating several parties to all shift and accommodate. Teachers do this every day because we love our students. Yet there comes a tipping point, the point where our special ed teachers know that this level of work is not sustainable. The point at which teachers start asking themselves if they can make a long-term career in Berkeley. When there aren't enough special ed teachers to manage our students, consistency and stability fail. We ask you to prioritize all of our students. Thank you.
Gerard Jamin, followed by Sharif Musaji.
Hello. My name is Gerard Jamin. I've been a teacher in the independent study program for 10 years here in the district. And I just want to share an experience. I've been looking for housing in Berkeley recently because I have to move from my current place in San Francisco. and I just had a disturbing experience with a landlord I want to share. When talking to a landlord, and they kind of are casually asking, well, so what do you do for a living? And I mentioned that I was a teacher. I kind of noticed a change in their face. They were sort of interested, but also like, teacher, like. And then when I kind of had to explain, well, I work for this special program. It's an hourly position. It's not paid over the summer. There's a cap on salaries at 9 years. I didn't tell him that last one, but just telling him I didn't get paid over the summer, and having to share with him what my salary was, even after 10 years at the district, the landlord's face just kind of took this sinking appearance where you could sort of tell he was losing enthusiasm, and said to me, okay, well, but you should do an application, and we'll be in touch, But you can tell by the look on his face that there's quite a number of competitors who make quite a bit more. So it's a strange position. I have a 1-year-old now, new family, need a place to stay, trying to move to a place that's closer to where I live, and had this experience like, wow, I'm doing something that's great. I love my job. I love teaching. And I'm trying to live in the place where I work, and I've been working for a long time. And in the face of this landlord, I'm being told, well, that's just probably not possible. So I just want you to take into account, we need a better contract. Independent study teachers need to be salaried. We need to be paid equal for our work. We are more than three-quarters of our workers are temporary. Some of them after 5, 6, 7 years on the job, they're still temporary. We have a cap on our salary at 9 years. We don't get any credit for master's degrees or anything else. There should be no second-tier, fully credentialed teachers in Berkeley.
Sharif Musaji, followed by Bruce Bagnell.
Good evening. My name is Sharif Musaji, and this is my first full year as a teacher at Berkeley High. This is also my second year as a father. When I found out I was going to be a dad, I realized it was probably my last chance to pursue my dream of becoming a teacher. So 3 months before her due date, I started grad school. When I made this decision, I knew what I was getting into. The stress, the low pay, the student debt. I still made this choice because it was my dream, because I believe in and I love the work, and I was ready to make all those cliche sacrifices. Early mornings and late evenings, meetings crammed into whatever time I could find, lunches taken up by student crises, purchasing notebooks, so many tissues, so for students. That's just part of the job, right? Yet even in my short time teaching, I've seen how the sacrifices can become too much, and I wonder how long until they become too much for me. In fact, part of the reason I teach at BHS is because the sacrifices became too much for another teacher who was pushed out. Like me, they had a new child, but after their childcare fell through, they had few options and were forced to leave the district to work somewhere else that was more affordable. That teacher was just as passionate and idealistic as I am. They loved their job and their students just as much as I do. They even went to the same master's program, yet one financial emergency forced them to make an impossible decision. And for the sake of our students, teachers should not be one crisis away from being forced to make those impossible decisions. It is absurd that with a master's degree, teachers struggle to pay for everything a new family needs. If we do not act, if we do not show that we truly value our students, it is only time before more teachers are forced to make those impossible decisions. Thank you.
There was Bruce, but I think Bruce and Kathleen both left. So now it's Susie Lopez and Lisa Billings.
Maybe say those are the last two.
Susie's sitting here. So Lisa Billings? Okay. All right.
Okay,
That's it? We have more time. We'll try one more. Stephen Hopkins? That's it? No? Okay. So we reached our 30 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We appreciate very much all your words. We'll now hear from our unions. We'll hear from Steve Cott. Who's going first? BCC, Local 12?
Good evening, buenas noches. My name is Liz Ortega. I'm the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Alameda Labor Council, representing 135,000 union members across this county, standing up for working families. And I'm here tonight to say, just like I said in Oakland, and I said in New Haven, this Labor Council has your back. I'm also here as a mom with 4 kids in the public school system and a graduate of Fremont High in Oakland myself, to say that I'm angry. I'm angry because time and time again I've had to come to meeting after meeting after meeting, to rooms packed like this across this country, fighting for what every elected official say they support. Their #1 priority, public education. And yet here we are, time and time again, fighting for a fair contract, fighting for decent wages, fighting for small class sizes, fighting for additional staffing. None of it is just about wages. All of it is about caring for our community, caring for our children, fighting for what is right, fighting for what every elected official says is their #1 priority. Well, I have a message for you as the school board and the rest of the community and other elected officials who are listening tonight. We will fight. We will win. Just like we won in Oakland, just like we won in New Haven, and just like we're winning across this country. Workers are standing up, fighting back, and we are winning. And Berkeley is no different. So tonight, I ask not only that you support these workers in a fair fight for a fair contract, but read the signs that they have here. One of the signs that I just saw says everything. Not only do I want to live in the community that I work, but I also want to make a wage so that I can eat. We shouldn't have a sign like that in the Bay Area of all places. Yeah. So Berkeley, the labor has your back. Alameda Labor Council will fight with you. Thank you.
Next, we have BCCE, our president.
After she speaks to say.
Good evening. Lynette Robinson, President of the Berkeley Council of Classified Employees. I want to start this off by saying, in our interdistrict mail, although this is 2 years old, this is a check for $228,000 and $228,013 that has never been cashed. Whether you got it replaced or not is another question. This is from 2016 in the interdistrict envelope that we just happened to find. And I'm happy we found it today. So what else have you guys carelessly done with the money? Our children suffer because of your carelessness. $228,000. What could we have done with that? I know we could have saved some jobs. We come here time and time again, like she said. Promises are always made. We always hear that there is no money. How can there not be money to educate children? How can there not be money for our tomorrows? How can it be possible that you don't care enough to invest in our children? All of our children. Our special need children seem to come up the shortest. You take from them and take from them and take from them and expect all of us, because everyone in here is an educator. I don't care about titles anymore. We're all educators struggling. We're struggling to make a difference. And it's like we keep begging and begging. And I keep saying, if you invest in our children, you will be supporting us. We started school just a few weeks ago, short-staffed. We shouldn't have as many subs as we do. Classifieds have over 100 positions unfilled. Why? That's on you. We have more people leaving education. And what happens? We seem to find more children in prisons. That's on you. And it's like I'm speaking to brick walls. I really do feel that way. Because what you guys do in each meeting, you come here, you let us vent, and then you go do the same thing over and over again. You cut our children. Red for Ed is because our children are bleeding in education. That's what the red is for. They're bleeding. You are bleeding them dry. We want to get a parcel tax. We want the people in this community to invest in us. We need to show them that we're worthy of that investment. We need to show them that our children are actually leveling up, because right now we're on the same loop. And that's failure. I don't do good with failure. I keep telling you that. I invest out of my pocket, and I will continue to invest out of my pocket, and I make absolutely no money to do your job. Your job is to educate. Your job is to lift up. Your job is to clear the path of opportunity for all children. Color, creed, sex, gender, that does not matter. Because see, they're supposed to want to be like us. You take that away. No one wants to starve. We have to face our children after being with everyone else's children and say, I can't feed you because I fed the kids in Berkeley? That's a problem. But I like this $228,000 check right here. So I hope you go do your investigation and see if you ever had it replaced. And I would like to hear about that from you guys. So later on, please make sure we know what happened to this $228,000. Because somebody needs to be watching the books, because whoever's cooking them has burned them up.
Yuba.
Yuba? Is Janet Levinson, Principal Levinson here? Oh, here she comes.
Good evening, Superintendent Stevens, members of the board, teachers, staff, students, families, and our entire Berkeley community. I'm Janet Levinson, President of the Union of Berkeley Administrators, and I'm here speaking on behalf of our bargaining unit members who share my sentiments tonight. We're here to show solidarity for BFT and BCCE and all the other staff represented here tonight in an amazingly strong show of support for a quality public education system. Former Superintendent Bill Hewitt used to say very proudly, Berkeley is the place to be. Remember when he rebranded us? Berkeley is the place to be. There was a really strong sense of pride, and Berkeley was the place to be. And in terms of hiring candidates for open positions, it was the truth. We could interview and select exactly the right match for our schools. At a small school, I could pick a candidate that I knew was going to be create a really cohesive team, because sometimes the team was a team of two, and you needed to match carefully. And we could be picky, and in all the years, I never had a single candidate turn me down in an offer. Took pride in my staff. Parents commended me on what a great ability I could do in putting together a staff. Fast forward several years, now to this time of rising healthcare costs, slipping wages, and a bimodal income distribution that has led many in our community to scramble in order to make ends meet. Suddenly I had teachers driving rideshare in the evening, safety officers who work all night long at a second job, IAs fearing eviction due to one lost timesheet. The change came quickly and in full force. We weren't ready for it. Site leaders have had tremendous difficulty staffing our schools, and this past year, the central office experienced that difficulty with teachers on special assignment, coordinators, and other positions. For 3 of the past 4 years, I opened King Middle School with openings. I'd never experienced anything like that. I had classrooms that I sat in on and back to school night, parents ready to attack me until I told them all of the things I had done to try and get a teacher, and they could not believe that we just couldn't attract teachers. Site leaders all over the district have experienced the same problems, hiring people in many positions that used to be easy to fill: PE, history, Spanish, dance, school psychologists, instructional assistants, instructional technicians. Hiring now drags on, with one principal reportedly having to interview 14 candidates for a 5th grade position until he could find someone to fill the position who was willing to accept the wages and the benefits that BUSD could offer. We're using interns, long-term subs, contractors, and cutting classes that are just too difficult to staff. We absolutely should maintain our high standards and what we're looking for in a teacher, but the pool of applicants just keeps getting slimmer. When we offered positions to candidates across the district this year, we thought we had chosen people who would be excellent for our schools. We had many offers fall through once the candidates checked the salary and the benefits. I actually began to screen candidates by sending them to the BFT website and saying, look at the salary and look at the benefits and let me know if I should waste your time or my time with an interview. And often I never heard from the applicants again. Beyond the difficulty in staffing the schools, there's significant impacts on the school community when the staff can't live where they work. Our teachers lose the connection to our community and don't even unnecessarily understand the importance of BSEP, don't want to attend evening SGC meetings due to the long commute, skip out on school concerts, performances, school fairs on the weekends, and so on. When our staff can't live in Berkeley, it no longer feels like the place to be. I actually feel that this board is aware and supportive of a living wage for all employees, but it's important for our larger community to support our schools so that Berkeley, which has led the rest of the nation so often, can once again lead with a superior education system that's staffed with high-quality teachers. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Stevens. My name is Matt Meyer, and I am the president of the Berkeley Federation of Teachers. As you can see, tonight I am joined by hundreds of my fellow educators, certificated and classified, as well as parents, students, and community members. As you know, we were here in mass last March to speak to the board about several critical needs in our district. Here we are again in September, working on an expired contract because these needs have not yet been addressed. These critical needs include both sustainable compensation for all educators and supports that make our full inclusion model sustainable. Our special education teachers are deeply committed to their students. Education specialists believe in their students, advocate for them, and support them in general education classes. In fact, our full inclusion model is built on the premise that with proper support, all of our students can find success being fully included in general education. But right now, our students don't always receive the proper support because their teachers aren't supported. Case managers' current assessment loads are unbearable. Each initial assessment takes on average 20 hours to complete, and our teachers sometimes have many to do concurrently. Oftentimes, teachers have to trade off serving their students directly in order to complete hours and hours of legally defensible assessments. Their jobs are impossible to do, and our teachers are frankly just burning out. As a result, the students are not getting served in a way they deserve. When I talk about special ed, make no mistake, I am also talking about general ed classes. Case managers work tirelessly to provide general ed teachers with the tools they need to adapt the curriculum, guide the behavior of their students with special needs. They respond to urgent behavioral crises, allowing the general ed teacher to continue teaching and all students to continue learning. Our model relies on veteran teachers to mentor new ones on how to implement full inclusion. Experienced teachers are exactly what we are losing. There were at least 18 new special education case managers hired this year. This is a 28% turnover rate in 1 year. We still have 2 vacant positions and some positions currently covered by interns who have not yet finished their credential programs. We are losing our experienced teachers to work in other districts with more sustainable models where they can support their students more successfully. We believe that our proposals will reduce costs in special education as it will reduce legal costs, settlements, and hearings because we will have improved the integrity and quality of the program. Previous efforts at cost containment have failed, and we need to do something to address the root causes of our high legal costs. The current situation is unacceptable. We have been discussing this issue since last year, and now it is time to act. We need the district to take our proposal of caseload caps and a limit on assessment seriously because it is the right thing to do for our students and to retain our teachers. All last year, you heard from us heart-rending story after story about how difficult it is to remain a teacher in Berkeley. This isn't just about new teachers at the low end of the salary schedule, although we hold a special concern for them because they are the future of Berkeley's teachers and Berkeley schools. Many veteran teachers are also one eviction or financial setback from being forced to leave the area. Many of us live paycheck to paycheck. In the 2018-2019 school year, Berkeley teachers will be one of, if not the lowest paid teachers in Alameda County. New state revenue will not change this position since Berkeley will receive a smaller amount than nearby districts based on state funding formulas. As of the week before school, we had 25 direct teaching positions that were not yet staffed. There were at least 9 subs on the first day of school due to openings. Our openings were across grade levels and subject areas. There are at least 4 vacancies today. These are symptoms of a problem that cannot be ignored. Our district must play catch up. We need to make Berkeley an attractive place to work, and our compensation must reflect the value Berkeley educators bring every day to the lives of their students. We know the board is discussing how to address this. We appreciate the district thinking creatively about how to solve this crisis, and we call on the district to significantly raise our compensation in a permanent manner. If this does not occur, our teachers will continue to leave BUSD, not because we want to, but because we need to take care of our own families. All of us are here to serve our students, to be part of this Berkeley community, but we need a significant raise and increased support of our full inclusion model to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt, and all of you, all the speakers tonight. I wanted to tell you that the student representative from BHS sitting next to me said that she really hopes to have a chance to speak to you as the teachers, and I think the voice of students is really important. So it's not a request, but I mean, it's not obviously I can't make you stay, but You know, I'm
Let's
requesting.
stay and hear this student representative.
Thank you, everybody. All right, so my name is Estella Hemp. I am the student representative, and I am a current senior at Berkeley High School. So just looking out across this crowd, I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of all the students, and especially from me personally. Stephanie Schautel, my current Gov and Econ teacher sitting right there, she is teaching us right now about people power. That is exactly what I see right now in here, people power. I'm seeing familiar faces representing exactly what they taught me to do: stand up, advocate for myself, and fight for what I believe in. Some of the teachers in this room are the exact reason as to why I'm up here tonight. So on behalf of all the students, and me as well, thank you so much for dedicating your career to educating us. You guys are doing an absolutely amazing job, and we all appreciate you so much. Thank you.
So we're going to start with our committee comments. Do we have PTA? Yeah. I don't know,
Hi, good evening. I'm Rob Collier, President of the PTA Council, and I'm here to speak regarding item 13, regarding the ballot measures for the March election. Our PTA Council fully recognizes the general need for these three measures, and we support tonight's proposal to move forward and develop them for the ballot. Of course, the PTA Council can't make a formal endorsement because there's no contract. The ballot measures haven't been written yet, and we haven't voted yet. We need to vote to formally endorse them. However, it goes without saying that the fundamental needs are real. Berkeley needs to continue improving its buildings and facilities. It needs to continue maintaining them properly. And above all, our teachers and staff need substantial raises, sustained over the long term, so they can afford to live here and continue to teach our children. These three are existential needs for the health of our school district and the education of our children. At the same time, we have to recognize that for many voters, the details of measures matter. The PTA Council and individual school PTAs trust that both sides, the district and the BFT, will interpret wisely the results of the voter surveys that have been carried out and are being carried out, the one that's being carried out this week. Together, the three measures that you're planning, of course, will raise taxes considerably. Many voters, many Berkeley residents in today's gentrified Berkeley can easily afford to pay more money. Others, however, cannot. And we urge you to ensure that the low income and senior exemptions written into the measures are as fully inclusive as possible of all who need them. Fairness is crucial. So we ask you to move forward tonight, and in the coming weeks, please plan judiciously for the long-term health of our schools, our teachers, and our children. Thank you.
Do we have any other committees? No? So now we have time for board members' comments. Board members? Judy, do you have comments? Julie?
Do you want to go?
I will, but...
Okay. Well, it got quiet. I want to really thank BFT and BCCE and all of the community members who showed up tonight. It's a big sacrifice to get school open, to work all day, and then to come here in the evening. And, you know, I say all the time that our schools reflect the strength of our teachers and our staff. And when our teachers and our staff are struggling to survive and to get to school every day and to be able to work the hours that they work, it suffers, you know, and our students suffer. And you know, I was thinking for a minute that I continue to be baffled, and I'm not really baffled, I'm really outraged that the supermajority of Democrats in our state legislature didn't have the guts to get a ballot measure on for full and fair funding of public education in the state of California. We continue to be, you know, we're not just bottom of teacher salary in the region, we're bottom in the state for per pupil funding. And it's up to us as a community again and again and again to raise money for our schools, our programs, our teachers, our staff, our administrators. And so I'm looking forward to the discussion we're going to have this evening for the compensation, looking at the measures. I do want to clarify that, you know, as we look forward to the maintenance tax and the bond, hopefully we will not be increasing those dollar amounts, but the issue would be, you know, how do we really support our teachers and our staff and our educators. So I'm committed to continuing to look for creative ways for us to be able to increase the revenue so that we can pay our teachers and our staff, and also continue to pursue, as was mentioned earlier, our housing opportunities and really look at understanding that, you know, even when we give raises in this city, the cost of living is still off the charts. Work on workforce housing while we're at the same time looking at education is extremely important. So I really, again, want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to take a couple other comments to just, I want to thank I think hundreds of volunteers throughout the district, parents, community members who helped open school. I saw an email on the Berkeley High E-Tree that listed the names of all of the volunteers that helped get school open, and it's, you know, over 100. And I know that that's reflected in the schools all across the district, so I really want to thank all of the volunteers. And another issue that's in the news right now, and it's something that numerous people have been talking about for the last year, is the crisis that vaping is causing on our youth in our community. And I'm hoping that we can look at, whether it's within our wellness committee or our tobacco prevention work, that we can reach across our jurisdictions and work with the City of Berkeley Public Health Department to address the issues of vaping among Berkeley youth. And then lastly, my office hours will begin in October, and they'll be the third Sunday at 3:30 at Cafe Layla. And so October 20th will be my first open office hours. So thank you.
So now I will go. I first wanted to thank everybody who's here, and then hopefully everyone who watches this online later. I want to thank you all for the very warm welcome. Kind of blew me away. I have been back a few meetings, but this is the first meeting that you all have organized to come to, and I just feel really great about that. So, so I want to thank you for that. I'm really proud to be back here. I recognize that this is really in some ways, a very challenging time for our district. You know, we're in a situation where the quality of our school district, which is based entirely on our staff, has made this a very, attractive place for the high-income people who are entering the tech community and have families to move. And while it makes me really proud to be a part of such a high-quality school district, I'm also, I agree, we have to find a way to pay our employees in a way that we can afford to still, provide the high-quality education to our students, and, where we have income sources that, kind of added income sources so we don't have to take away. So I just want you to know that I'm really proud of the district, and I'm really proud even of how it has become such a magnet for people looking for a place for their schools. And I know we're challenged by that, because the very same things that attract families to our town and in large part because of our school district also increase the cost of living that then educators, teachers, and administrators and classified staff then have to struggle with. And the stories about good folks leaving the district is really real to all of us. We are aware of the openings that our district faced at the beginning of this year, and it makes us really sad, because Berkeley should be, because of so many things, the quality of the education, the quality of the community, the quality of the unions, the commitment to equity and the really forward-thinking views on education. When they can't come here for whatever reason because they can't afford it here, that is a tragedy. That's something we're all very aware of. And a couple people got up here and really talked about I think are understandably angry and directed that angry at us almost not caring. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that there's not a single person up here who doesn't care. I know I came from an activist community. I became involved in this district as a parent activist advocating for LGBT inclusive curriculum. And, so I'm all, I think it's great that so many people came out tonight and are advocating strongly. And I just want to make sure people know that we are working. I know we're in the positions of power now. I'm sitting on this side of the table, but we also want. But I think if you know us personally, every single person to just building a quality community. So that's what I wanted to tell people. I also want to spend a moment recognizing my stepmother, my mother-in-law, who died last Wednesday. And actually I found somebody, when we were going through our stuff, found the video from our third wedding, and I was like, and Gail, who now really is my mother-in-law, it was our third wedding, but so she's actually only been my mother-in-law for 5 years, but she's been my mother-in-law in hearts for 25 years. I also wanted to wish Liz Shires the best. She's going to be taking a break to have that baby that's been growing inside of her that you may have noticed. And so we're all very supportive, and so I wanted to thank you for your hard work, and you've also taken really good care of me as I've been coming back, so I'm not sure now I'm gonna be on my own, like standing on my own 2 feet. So I wanted to thank you for that. All right, so I think that's all I wanted to say. I just really wanted to, I guess I also wanted to add that both of my kids did go through BUSC. One of them's 18 and one of them's 21. So I personally really understand and value the importance of having dedicated and loving teachers and qualified teachers and administrators. Janet Levinson was my kid's elementary school principal. So I am worried to hear that, like, your struggles with hiring, because we need to be attracting the very best to this district. Thank you.
Hi, good evening to everyone who is left. My comments are pretty, that was a joke. I guess a bad one. All right, my comments are, thank you, pretty short tonight. I would just like to first say thank you so much for sacrificing family dinner, grading, lesson planning, and overall self-care to be here this evening. And I'm appreciative of BFT and BCCE and community members for your presence here this evening, knowing that your advocacy isn't just about higher salaries or smaller caseloads, but an overarching outcry for a more equitable educational experience for all of our students, especially our most critical learners. So although many of them have left, thank you for being here. And in echoing Julie and Judy's sentiments, I'm excited to be a part of a board that does actually care about our educators and are doing the work to show that level of support. On another note, we received an email that the live stream, or the sound for the live stream wasn't working tonight, and so we would like to apologize for that, and we're hoping to get that rectified pretty quickly. My next office hours will be held next Wednesday, September 25th.
I just want to thank everybody as well, and to the union leaders who are here, please thank your members on behalf of me and the board for being here tonight for all the reasons that my colleagues have said. It was energizing and inspirational to see so many people here tonight, and I'm looking forward to continuing to negotiate and come up with a fair contract.
I thank you, everyone, for staying and hearing us a little bit more, but I also wanted to thank our superintendent. This is his baptism. This was his inauguration. The other meetings have been just a few people in the audience, so this Berkeley showed up for you. So thank you. It was the messaging.
You signed a contract.
The messaging, the stories, the experiences that our teachers are having, it's not lost on us. It stays with us. And we listen, and we carefully listen to the stories so to see how we can find solutions to, and many of you have given us solutions to in terms of what we need to do. So we will continue with that heart, and I know that everyone on this dais and our staff all hold this and listen carefully to what actions we can take to positively move our district and support our teachers and our classified and our administrators, because we all want Berkeley to stand out and be the place where everybody wants to be. So thank you, everyone. I also want to say that I now have 2 granddaughters that are in Berkeley schools, and so I was fortunate enough to go visit open house and see the hard work that all of our teachers are doing. Even just to be present, there was about 4 teachers that were new to the district, and they were amazed at the showing of parents from Berkeley schools that come out to open house. And so it was really heartening to see that they were surprised. But that's us, that's Berkeley. And that's our teachers who are really happy to embrace and welcome our families into their classrooms and to share a little bit. So it was a wonderful experience. I look forward to going to Berkeley High next week. And also welcoming our new teachers on behalf of Berkeley. So I did do that on behalf of everybody. So thank you very much. And also want to congratulate Liz. You know, I don't know if you noticed it. I think was it in June that all of a sudden we all looked at her and said, what? So we were surprised, but we'll miss you. But we know you'll be, send us pictures. Okay, thank you. Superintendent?
Hello again. So I kind of already said everything that I really wanted to the teachers. Again, thank you all. Also, Liz, I appreciate everything you've done for me, how welcoming you were to me, and how you told me everything I needed to know for this position. So thank you so much. I wish you the utmost best time in parenting. All right, so really quickly, I would just like to take this opportunity to kind of talk a bit about what I would like to do and see as student board rep for this year. Basically, I kind of want to mainly advocate for mental health resources for students, especially at the higher levels of education, so like middle school and high school especially. As a student, I see firsthand how direct of an effect mental health can have on a student's success, and then also the whole entire nature of a learning community. And so I have my own ideas. I'm sure lots of people have theirs as well. So if you ever can find a chance to talk to me, reach out to me. I will be talking a lot more about all of that in later on meetings, but I do want to give my airtime to the superintendent and the rest of the meeting. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brent Stevens. I am now on my third board meeting here in Berkeley. I wanted to pass along several experiences that I've been having just in these opening weeks. So it's been my distinct privilege to get to spend time over the last few weeks visiting classrooms across the district in all of our schools. I have had the experience now in my career of working in multiple communities and have been so impressed with the overall quality of our school buildings, our classrooms, our teachers, the families' engagement, and the smiles on children's faces more than any other thing. I've worked in many communities where the effect of teacher turnover is far more pronounced, and it has been one of the difference makers in my mind that there are so many veteran teachers working here in Berkeley, and that the skills they bring on a day-to-day basis make a difference for students. You feel it in the hallways. There's a sense of calm, of purpose, and of learning. I recognize in many of the comments made by our teacher colleagues that the pressures on teachers right now could create risk in our schools that no longer be the case. And I thought that I would offer sort of a quick historical lesson for folks who are watching on YouTube about why we're in a particular moment where the actions of the board, the staff, and teachers really make a difference. So going back to 1978, for folks who are around in California, this was the moment when school funding shifted profoundly. This was Prop 13. Prop 13 tied school funding to the roller coaster of state revenue, which meant that schools were buffeted by the booms and the busts that were taking place in the state economy. There were good times and there were bad times, but rarely could school districts survive for more than a cycle of 3 or 4 years before yet another round of cutting took place. That changed temporarily in 2013 when the state enacted something called the Local Control Funding Formula. And for a period of 5 years, California began to invest more in public schools. And so for folks who have been participants in public school education, you will recognize that the resources seem to have increased. The state last year achieved its funding targets. And for the first time now, we are living on what's just called COLAs, cost of living adjustments, which means in effect that we are back into the same situation that existed prior to the LCFF. So if you think back to what was happening with the budget in the period from 2010 to 2012, that was the recession, we are now living in the same structural deficit that we were back then, which means in effect that the revenue we're provided by the state is not keeping up with the pace of our expenses. We continue to experience cost increases in a number of areas. Those things are common across multiple sectors. They include things like energy costs, they include like transportation, and they also include cost increases to special education. So while we're having these important conversations about the cost of living and compensation for all of our educators, we're experiencing, in effect, flattened revenue and increasing costs. So this evening, very importantly, we're beginning the second in a series of conversations at the policy level about how to address this revenue gap. And so shortly, colleagues and I will be presenting on a proposal to the board to introduce an educator recruitment and retention tax as a way way of addressing the many, many needs that educators expressed very eloquently earlier in the evening. So we hope that you'll continue to stay tuned and listen as we describe more details to the Board of Education about this very important conversation. I have a couple more things that I would love to do in the time I'm allowed. I want to welcome a few new colleagues to Central Office. Several of them are here in the room. So I'd like to introduce Bajay Tiara, our new Associate Superintendent of Educational Services. Welcome, her very first board meeting. She got a doozy. Samantha Tobias Espinosa, second meeting with us, and Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Welcome to you as well. We have a new Public Information Officer who's also here. I'll welcome her to stand up. Her name is Trish McDermott. Welcome to you. And finally, a new District Compliance Officer. Her name is Dr. Marty Walters, and she joined us just a week ago. So we're very happy to have all of you on board. Welcome. Director Appel, you are not the only one feeling you've now got to stand on your 2 feet with Liz's departure. I also share that sentiment. So I want to wish you the very best, Liz. You have just been, well, you're an amazing person. And you've got a daughter that's going to have an absolutely amazing mother. We're going to miss you very much. We're expecting, I think, daily pictures. Is that the commitment you made? That's right. Okay. Excellent. And then I thought I'd use just the last couple things for a few more notes. So I would love to make educators aware of a really remarkable resource that was recently published by the New York Times. It's called the 1619 Project. It is a phenomenal collection of resources that attempts from a historical perspective to unpack the many features of systemic racism in our country. It is designed for educators. It's got a lot of very useful resources that are appropriate to the secondary level, and it is really a remarkable body of work that the New York Times has collected. I also want to thank educators for any efforts that you make to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month that starts on September 15th and runs through October 15th. And then finally, quickly want to make a note about the September 20th climate action. So we are anticipating a fair number of students from our high school are going to jump on BART and head across San Francisco to join youth protests about the state of climate. I am confident that our high school staff has been interacting with students about how to participate in the rally safely. We've also reached out to colleagues in San Francisco Unified and with San Francisco Police Department to let them know that our young people from Berkeley are on their way over to the city to join and participate in this important event. So that is all for now. I just want to thank again all of the educators that I've been meeting in classrooms. Very much appreciate the work you've been doing.
Thank you, Superintendent. And especially talking about our students in terms of what's happening, will happen on Friday. So now we'll move to our consent calendar. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the consent
I'll move.
calendar.
Cal second.
Okay, first by Vice President Alpers, second by Director Appel. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, so now we'll move to the update on Berkeley Adult Education Program by our principal, Tom Reed.
So while Tom is getting himself set up and making the computer work, I thought I would offer just sort of one quick note. One of the many remarkable things that I'm discovering in Berkeley is that Berkeley has an adult education program. It actually distinguishes from many of our colleague districts across the Bay Area when in leaner times, districts decided to peel off their adult education programs, and it was simply a function of the local community college. So the fact that we are able to serve a broad cross-section of our community through a really interesting array of programming, I think is much to Berkeley's credit. So the principal of the adult school is here to give us an update on the goings-on in the program.
Very good. Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you, board members. Is that on? That's on. Yes. Very good. Thank you, Superintendent Stevens, and thank you, board, for giving me a few minutes this evening. I'm beginning my 5th year as principal of Berkeley Adult School, and this is my first opportunity I've had to tell you what's going on in Berkeley Adult. And I'm beginning here with this image here. This is a photo that you see that was hanging in the office of the principal at Berkeley Adult School when I arrived there. And on the back it says, Berkeley Adult School Citizenship Class, no date given, but it reminds me that we have a long, long heritage. In fact, the history of Berkeley Adult School goes back to the 1880s.
Now, in the 1880s, there was no particular funding in the state of California for adult education, no mandate. It was a matter of this local community choosing to provide learning opportunity to all adults, not just university students, but to all adults. And that's a legacy that I'm proud to be a part of as a resident here in Berkeley and as an administrator here in this program. So we've been around a long, long time, and in the last 4 years, there have been some significant changes in how adult education is administered in the state of California, and some interesting developments within Berkeley Adult. And so I'd like to outline some of those for you here this evening. First, though, some just basics about us. We've had a mission statement for a number of years, which I've seen as the key words in that mission statement to be around equal access. And as we live with this statement longer, we recognize that equal access is not only about having classes in many different locations in the community and at many different times of day and through the week, but equal access also has curriculum and instruction implications in ensuring that the manner in which we deliver instruction is genuinely accessible to as broad a sector of the diversity that is in our classrooms. So we understand our mission more as we live it longer. We have this statement of these school-wide learning outcomes, which is sort of umbrella outcomes of what we aspire to have happen in the lives of students who participate in our classes. And if we think about the adult school being a vehicle for increasing human capital in a community, this is what that capital looks like. These statements here, these skills that we foster in our learners' lives make them more resilient individuals and make our community to be a more resilient community as they grow in these skills. We have outcomes. The easiest outcomes to see and to look at least in a quantitative way, are some standardized test scores. Each of these pairs of bars represents a level of instruction in adult basic education, adult secondary education, and English as a second language programming. The blue bar indicates how we at Berkeley Adult School do. The red bars indicate adult schools in Alameda County on the average. And so you can see that Berkeley Adult School is near or above the average of the county at levels across the board. So we're doing well. We're performing well for our learners by this index. The funding for the adult school is designated for adult education by state law. The adult ed funding cannot be allocated elsewhere. It could, for those number of years of flexibility, beginning in about 2008 until 2015, when these significant changes came to affect us. But you can see that the bulk of our state money, we have a significant grant of federal dollars that support our literacy programs. That is, again, our high school diploma and our ESL program. Fee income supports some classes that help support our CTE classes. We also do some classes that are supported exclusively by student fees in a broad range of topics that are of general interest to the community. I should note here, while we're looking at this, that our board for 3 years, beginning in 15-16, made contributions to the adult school to support the lifelong learning program, serving about 1,000 older adults here in our community every year. That commitment was outstanding, to have that support for engagement of adults, again, all adults in Berkeley, to have access to those learning services. So that is an important piece of the history in the last few years. There have been changes at the state, how the state is organizing adult education. One of the important features in the changes is this, that adult education is now structured and organized so that larger units are the units for planning. So in our area here in northern Alameda County, the Peralta Community College District boundaries define a consortium boundaries that includes the 4 Peralta colleges, along with 5 public adult schools that are in this area. So this is new to have this regional approach, and the purpose of the regional approach is so that collaboratively we can plan together to address the learning needs of the community, reducing duplication of services among the providers, and so on. The aim in particular is to see that that students can advance. And when I say advance, I mean, for example, this. A learner comes to us to improve their English. They're in our ESL program. And after some time, when their English skills have improved, they advance to our high school diploma program. They earn their high school diploma program. They move on to the community college. So much of this is helping students. We plan collaboratively to make the pathways as smooth as possible for students to advance to college, advance to career. And this collaborative planning actually gives us new opportunities to think about how we can meet the learning needs in our community. For example, the 77,000 people in our region who as yet do not have adults who do not have a high school diploma or equivalent. So this consortium structure is brand new in adult education since 2015. With this policy priority of advancing, we have come to appreciate anew the tremendous gift that we have as Berkeley Adult School of a building with a roof large enough to house many of our programs. And not only the adult school programs, we're also housing some classes of Berkeley City College, for example, classes to support employment from the Workforce Development Program or services. So our ability to host all these things in one place facilitates the transitions from one program area of the school and transitions into the college and other services that support and meet our goals in adult education. So I'm very grateful. We're in the adult school are very grateful for the gift of that large, significantly large building. The other significant change since 2015 is that there has become a brand new funding stream for adult education. And while previously, for many, many, many years, adult education was funded by hourly attendance ADA. And the new funding, brand new funding, is strictly by allocation. So Berkeley Adult School, BUSD, has its amount that it's given for adult education. Because it's not ADA driven, we have different kinds of decisions to make, or different considerations, much more mission-driven decisions, rather than business, black and white, are there enough students in this class to make it go? So we have some flexibility to meet the learners' needs that come with this allocation-based funding. This also helps us be in the business of advancing students to higher levels of learning rather than holding them in one place where we can guarantee the income from ADA. The amount of money, this is a gratitude point here. The graph here represents the amount of funding, state funding, that our consortium here receives, about $8 million. Here in Berkeley, we're receiving, while there are 9 members funded, we're receiving about 40% of the dollars that come to our consortium. Why would that be? Here's a history lesson. In the days of flexibility, categorical flexibility, when adult schools could diminish, or the districts could choose to reallocate their adult education funds to other important purposes, in Berkeley, Berkeley's leadership chose to retain a large portion of the adult ed funds with the adult school. That maintenance of effort is what keyed the initial scale of funding, share of funding, for Berkeley Unified School District's adult education program. That commitment from 2010 through 2013, 2015, is what resulted in Berkeley having such a large share of the services right now today. So we're grateful to have that. So those were changes on the outside at the state level with some regional implications. There's been some interesting work happening within the adult school in the last 2 years. We entered our accreditation process self-study very much with a posture that we are doing this self-study for ourselves. We're not doing it for an external audience, but we want to draw a map for ourselves of how we really are and how we're serving our students. The map was for ourselves so that we could chart our own course of how we wanted to grow as an organization and improve as a school. This openness of process opened the doors for us to change. You can see here I've listed the 3 key areas for us that we've chosen to grow in. A visiting from committee came from the Western Association of Schools and Colleges and granted us 6 years of accreditation when they, and validated our findings, our direction that we were setting for our